Heathrow Airport, Thursday morning, October 22nd.
Of all my customers who live here in Gibraltar, and with those of you visiting and your seatbelts, please unfasten your seatbelts. Thank you.
That's where we're headed. The airport. That's Spain. So now we're going to cross the rock. It's our first night in Gibraltar. It's the view from our balcony. It's about 8:15 in the morning. Heading up the rock. This guy's having problems here. Stage and concert seating. Along our path, we've seen quite a few of these. Okay, so we're looking out onto Spain and get a better idea of the importance of this part of the rock and mounting guns if at all possible. So during the distraction of the American Revolution, while the British were taking care of those rebels, the French and Spanish took the opportunity to try and retake Gibraltar. British troops stationed here as part of the defense and reinforcement created the tunnels, and in fact the siege lasted for 3.5 years, and ultimately the French and Spanish were defeated. It was this Major Ince whose idea it was to build these tunnels in order to get the guns up the side. This is our apartment. Looking at this from this embrasure in the siege tunnels. And there's Spain. This is an example of the rope curtain, the mantlet that would provide some cover for the soldiers. On our way down to the Moorish castle. So this tower really stood as another means of defense for Gibraltar. See that it took some hits over the years. It's the Moorish element of the ceiling. One of the small, what was later become a chapel room once the Catholics retook Gibraltar. The arches. So this dates probably from the 1100s.
From the tower, the top of the Moorish tower or castle, look out onto the edge of what's Gibraltar, and in the distance you can see the mountains that are already Morocco.
It's one little fellow saying goodbye. So we leave their area, their domain. So long. Bye. We're in the only cemetery used in Gibraltar since the 1840s. The previous spot, the burials were stopped because of health concerns. So really right across from the rock. And that's the building we're in. And this is the Jewish section, which part of which was actually taken over for the airport. That's a hangar there. Just taking a look at some of the stones are engraved a little bit differently from our tradition. And we are looking at part of the wall that surrounded the original part of the city around the rock. And there are a few of these tunnels from one area of town to another. Then a way up from here even you can see the Moorish castle. One of the maps situated around town. We start on Devil's Tower Road. And we go into the casements area. Main line between all of these are middle of town. Took the cable car up. Here now, we're about to go into Casement Square again. And last evening, we walked along Main Street and then went down Farmers Lane, Farmhouse Lane, to the Flemish Synagogue. Casement Square is happy this morning. Activity is, the restaurants aren't yet full, but they will be shortly. Another cruise ship is docked. We haven't come across a lot of clocks on public buildings that are correct yet, but that's okay. clock is correct. You can see the symbol for Gibraltar, which was originally designed by Queen Isabella in the early 1500s and adopted by Gibraltar for all time, whether or not it was under Spanish or British rule. This ship just docked also. You can only see one eye because this other one is an eye. The Cathedral St. Mary is built on what had been the spot mosque. And then when the Moors were driven from Gibraltar, it was taken over by the church. The original tower, not the one we're looking at, was again adopted by the church. And the compound was a little more than 3 times the size it is now. It enclosed a courtyard with orange trees and the like. Most of it was ceded to the government for the rerouting of Main Street. The lower level of the Gibraltar Museum, there are the remains of a Moorish bathhouse that dates to around 800. This area was conquered and then sometime later settled by the Moors coming over from North Africa. They wanted a foothold on the Iberian Peninsula. And so this is one of the structures for the city that they built. This would have been one of the hot rooms. The star-shaped openings in the ceiling would have let in light. And down beneath, the hot waters would have been pumped through under the floor. Looking onto Cathedral Square, which has the Cathedral of the Holy Trinity, which was built originally as a hospital and then consecrated as a church in the early 1800s in a Moorish style. So it was never, in fact, a Moorish building or a mosque of any sort. These are referred to as officers' barracks. Learned the officers, what had been used as officers' barracks, now used as government offices. This is the courthouse, right on Main. Across the way is the governor's residence. It had been a convent. And we just walked up Governor's Lane, which we saw many mezuzot, which would make sense because it's very near to the different synagogues and to the school. The history of this building: this is the King's Chapel, 1560, and this was originally erected as a convent, and now it's the official governor's residence. Well situated on Convent Place is kosher bakery and coffee shop. Right next door to Solomon Lee. Right outside the city walls, this little old cemetery called Trafalgar Cemetery, which is something of a misnomer because only a couple of the folks laid here, in fact, fell at the battle. Most here victims of one of the yellow fever epidemics between 1810 and 1814. We made it to the beach, and in fact, it is the Mediterranean. Over there is Spain. And way out is the other end of the Mediterranean. So we can now say we've been at both the eastern and westernmost, or pretty close to eastern and westernmost spots of the Mediterranean. David looking for shells in the Mediterranean. And right at the foot of the rock. It's the runway from a different angle. We're over at the Marina Bayside Marina area. And this is a moored ship that is both hotel and casino. On our way back from the marina area, we're on a walkover bridge. And it's a great angle to see the Moorish castle. Shot from the terrace of the airport. That's the way. Here you can see the building we stayed in. The plane will be heading out. Leaving the coast of Spain behind. We're looking at the coast of Morocco. And at this point we can see both the Mediterranean and far off the Atlantic. Arrived in Tangier. Driving toward Chefchaouen from Tangier. You can see already the Rif Mountains, which form the eastern border with Algeria. We're starting our day tour of Chefchaouen, or Chaouen. The blue walls, it's been explained, is because the indigo is so inexpensive. And Salam, our guide, is taking us through. Chefchaouen was originally built in 1471. And over 40,000 residents in the city itself and closer to 75,000 in surrounding area. This is some of the wood that's set aside to heat the water for the hammam, which is up the lane a bit, the warm bath.
So Chaouen is
We're looking out onto this newly built wall. You can make out. And we're standing on the terrace area of the largest mosque in Chefchaouen. Looking down onto the plaza. This is part of the original Kasbah from 1471. Used to be and still is a workshop area. The upstairs would be used for rooms when people would come into town. The donkeys and all would be tended down on the bottom, and the people who needed overnight lodging would be upstairs. And it's still an area where handmade goods are made, and this fellow here is an iron worker and is making keys and keychain hooks. This is our excellent guide, Salam. Okay, we're at Ras Al Ma, which is the head of the waters. Essentially, the water is coming down from the mountain top through, and so this is the water supply for the Medina, the town. And you can see the water rushing down. This is also a washing station for clothes washing. See the scrub board. Right here next to us is a fig tree, and most of the fruit is already been harvested. So up on the mountain a little bit, we get a beautiful view of the entire town, city. Some olive trees.
Also, few cactus.
Some cactus growing.
Fig.
And fig.
Sun over there.
A little bit of sun coming, peeking through far. So this is the Spanish mosque we're looking at, which really is not used because of hard feelings going back to '56. In the cemetery, shown, and even the tombs, the grave sites are okay. So it's a millstone for the olives, which you can see some olives still on the tree here, to make the olive oil, and it's powered
From
by
the
donkeys.
U.S.
The West English?
United States.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So this is your. This was the entrance to the Jewish neighborhood, referred to as the Mela. And honestly, it doesn't look so different from other areas. But so just some of this area dates back to the late 1400s. Enjoying an open market. This is referred to as the Andalusian Mosque. It was built by Andalusian refugees during the early 16th century. A little entranceway where we've stored our bags, and we have our bedroom area, which is really quite pretty and airy. Ceiling detail. So here you can see it's blue town, blue tile, even the bathroom. Sitting here in a little restaurant, and who should walk by but Obi-Wan Kenobi. Just enjoying our mint tea with some Moroccan pastries. A little afternoon break.
Every year in different, every year in different place, like
This is the dining room of the Orpheus House with a mosaic of dolphins. Represent fertility. Detail. Beautiful. Evokes the idea of Berber Parker. You can see some detail.
here is dining room.
This would be a private bath area.
rooms. Like here we have the bush room. The medium parts on the
See the colors, just to get a hint of the blue and the vibrant colors here on the floors. And this is all the, right near the hammam. This is a mosaic. This is all a private home. Right here, olive press, and it goes through the channels, gets a chance to clarify and such on its travels down. The smaller olive press we saw a bit before, and that would be handled by perhaps 2 slaves, and this would be handled by the donkey or horse. This was a place of worship, altar and sacrifice. This is down here. This is the Capitol Hill area of this. And this is the forum area for the city, for market and public gathering. The stones, the rocks were brought from these mountains primarily by Berber slaves transporting them on elephants. We're about to take a look at the magnificent floors here in this house. Had 6 horses up on top of gold and brass, and on either side fountains in the smaller plantations. In the middle of the House of Columns, and it's called that because of the unusual mix of column styles, including a spiral column, straight,
Fred and his favorite Ariana sleeping in the Isle of Naxos. Bakis is left here. Ariana was here at the foot. And in the middle they have protect, there is no... Yes. Go to the road.
probably the best prison. Solarium. So the slaves would be in the center, tending to the people who are sitting as David is in the niche. And it's a public, it's a multi-person one. Thank you. You get a sense of just how huge this site is. You have the arch off in the distance. A lot left to be explored. The slave quarters. We saw some, again, beautiful mosaics. Some to the sides. And the Arch of Triumph over there we saw way off in the distance is the Capitol. We're going to start our tour of Meknes by one of the main gates. This was one of the royal
Last
cities.
remaining Hebrew educational
Like
institution.
this in the Medinas,
And about the Jews, we can say that we do have two families in Morocco. We do have the Berber Jews, that's how they are used to call them, and they say that they are used to belong to one of the lost tribes, then it takes you to 5,000 times.
It's the UNESCO protected site, acknowledged. It's one of the most beautiful gates in the world. 17th century. Off in the distance would be the Mela, and here's the square.
You don't believe the tourism in Meknes, it's the only business
We're in the market place at Meknes. Many sweets are being sold. So this entire area, which is often referred to as the stables, was actually still just all for the barley to feed 12,000 horses. But the thickness of the walls, this was in fact moved at one time of the earthquake. Here it didn't withstand the earthquake, whereas the previous rooms were. So this opening here was used to drop the barley, the grains through, and this is where it was all stored for the 12,000 horses that protected the palace, the castle area.
They are restoring very badly what they're doing here. They did this 3 years ago. I like the French when they say that restoring is smarter than building.
This is the pool that was built for this queen, daughter of Louis XV. It's fed by underground springs. This is one of the gates of the palace complex. Stork protecting his nest on top of the wall that at one time surrounded a palace, which was destroyed in the earthquake, and which was never rebuilt, and in its place, a golf course was built, surrounded by the wall. Inside the mosque that now serves as a mausoleum for the late king. Each area is designated depending on what time you arrive from there. And again, one of the rooms for ablution in what originally was built as a courthouse, then became the king's tomb, and also serves as a mosque. We're approaching the blue gate of the Medina. Of the gate.
Balak, it means watch out, get out of the way.
And
There's a donkey coming.
this is the green of Islam is on the other side of the blue. Here at the spot, which has been recognized as the home of Maimonides while he lived in Fez. On the outside of Maimonides' house was a very elaborate system to hold brass plates where water would drop into, and this would assist in telling the time. The entranceway of the madrasa we're both visiting, and you can have beautiful work on the walls, and of course all of the tile work.
Looking to play a game, and so we would put certain words in, and it would come up with your graphical sense.
Yeah, that's what
They would do that as a...
Well, it happens to my children. It's terrible.
Right.
Exactly.
See all the detail.
So now the students,
This one is not used.
oh, it's not used anymore.
But next year it's going to start again as a school because they are furnishing the rooms.
See the detail around the arch. This palace is right near the opening of the Mela, which is the Jewish quarter, traditional Jewish quarter, and that was typical of because the Jewish populations typically were under the special protection of the kings. Coming up to the Abu Danan synagogue. Okay, so this is the peek into the mikveh that is accessible from this stairway here. And we're in the inside the Abu Danan synagogue. This is the parochet. It covers up the Torah, which is on deer skin, as is traditional for Moroccan synagogues. Here's our guide. And from here, the pulpit, and it was last actively used by the last rabbi here. Back into continuing the tradition, or predating our tradition. All these seats are donated. Heading down into the mikveh area. This is the balcony where the women's section is in this synagogue. This is some of the beautiful traditional lamps. Rift Mountains. And you can see the
Linda does
Medina
her business that she works for, does promotional items.
all the way around.
Promotional. So, and anything from clothing, like she did these.
Really?
Yes.
We're at the ceramic factory. It's about to trim. It's the tagine, small tagine being made.
Demonstration. One day we had to get the top separate from the dish.
Fuel that's used, it's actually that which is left over after the olive press, so they're tiny bits of olive and olive pits. So the residual oil helps feed the fire, and the pits burn very nicely.
Depending on the design.
Design, which design it's would get used for. And this color, the one here, it's purple now. When it's baked, it turns dark. It's the symbolic color of the town. That's
Different shapes of the mosaic tiles. And the fellow is working with a special hammer to trim different tiles to the correct shape. So the small tiles on the more complicated pieces on the bigger surfaces for a tabletop, it's all assembled upside down, and sometimes it has to be affixed with a bit of the black soap.
The marble is Morocco. We started using marble before. It was dyeing marble from pizza color. For the richest family, the floor is all made into Carrara marble with some mosaic pieces.
So these marble tables are made primarily with Moroccan marble, and again assembled in the frames like we saw. So assembled upside down, and a gray cement is then applied atop and then left to
To the big exhibition, they have.
Okay. It's the initial cleaning of the hides. These bats have an ammonia derivative. These are goat skins that are being dried, and the saffron is applied to help the process and also give it a better
undergoing a
color.
restoration.
You can see some of them with the different colors for the dyeing of the wool of the skins. Interesting Moroccan process of construction. Well, part of the process. You can see some of the
finished product. And this is one of the sources of the ammonia. It's pigeon excrement is used in the vats. They're tumbling and washing the hides here in this big wheel.
This is a sitting area of our riad in Fez. It's Riad Mabruka. It was a private home for one family. And the roof is retractable. So that was added as a concession to the weather for Riyadh guests. But in the past, it would be open and be able to rain right inside into the little fountain. And the water, there's a very, very slight step. The water would be able to drain so that all of the rooms on the first floor were room here. It's a nice sitting area. Beautiful floors. Chandelier. Very high ceilings. Great feather pillows. This is our door. This is the relevant part of the door where we come in and out. Take a step up into the bathroom, and it is again quite beautifully appointed. And we've been really very comfortable. Outskirts approaching Rabat, past groves of trees, and a number of the animals come up right close to the highway, and not quite sure what's being sold, but we think it might be almost like a chestnut. Driving along the expanded entrance to Saleh, which is a twin city with Rabat. Newly planted palm trees and elegant street lights. Udaya Kasbah. Entranceway to our hotel in Rabat. It's Riyadh. And Riyadh El Khazar. And it's referred to as a luxury riad. Just checking in, they're able to accommodate us a little early. We arrived about 11:30 after an almost 2-hour-long trip from Fez earlier this morning. Your center area of the riad, it's very beautiful. Roof area, and unusually this one has a lift.
Before we're joined by our guide, we're just wandering around a little bit on our own down the street from our riad, Al Khazar, past a number of buildings that house artisan works, and beyond these art buildings there's some market area. Here is the fortifications that we'll learn about in a little bit, and down by the water.
Which the royal children go to class, along with children chosen from around the country, specifically for grades and diversity. The Prime Minister's home and one of the royal palaces. This wall was originally set up as a fortification by Jacob, and that was in 1150. That dynasty ended in 1199, and the next one decided not to continue residency in this entrance, which is just across from the 1150 fortifications, is from the early 14th century. Looking out onto a minaret, which is that which remains from an earlier Islamic dynasty, when this area was developed into a smaller, fortified coastal town on top of Roman ruins, which can be spotted through the trees here. Originally, this area was also called Salah or Shalah, and as time went by, people migrated across the river and established a town across the river that we've already referenced, and that became known as Sheep. They overlook this wonderful site of Roman ruins. Of course, that's post-Roman, but here was a small Roman city that was covered over, and many of the columns and some of the best stones were used for later construction during the Islamic period. And then during the time of the Lisbon earthquake, which produced a tsunami, this in fact was totally covered over at that time in the 70s. We've entered the medieval mosque area. It was also a burial place, and the beautiful Carrara marble here clearly had been borrowed from the Roman minaret. Roman columns that were moved. This was a boarding school, madrasa, and this would have been the site of both classrooms, and also the fountains would have been here. And you can still see the brilliance of the tiles. So this was from the 14th century. Roman ruins right by the side of the Islamic relics, and both took advantage of the natural springs because they were bathhouses, hammams, and from the beautiful gardens you see this side of the mosque, madrasa complex. Again, the use of the Roman columns in the detail. Beautiful gardens. At the entrance to the mausoleum, where the bodies of the current king's father, Muhammad V, mausoleum. Buried here are Muhammad V, current king's grandfather, Hassan II, current king's father, and uncle of Prince Abdul. Alongside this, which undertaken in 1961, took 10 years, is a mosque without a minaret, and another beautiful white building. We're in the complex that was the site of the unfinished minaret, the unfinished mosque, which was a building project of the Sultan Yaqub, the same one who came to this city and reinforced it and made it a fortress. We're looking now here at the minaret, which is under scaffolding, and it's about halfway done. It was originally intended to be over 80
meters high. It's now about 45.
Mausoleum. Center, King Mohammed V. To our left, his son Hassan II and the uncle Prince Abdul. This is the ceiling inside the mausoleum. Wonderful detail. That's why it took 10 years to construct.
So we're about to go into the Kasbah, and this was setting for a number of movies. The outside here, including most recent Mission Impossible. We're now in the Kasbah, looking out onto the unfinished mosque.
So just the
The marina.
This towers.
Salah in the distance.
On the edge of the Kasbah, you can see it was built out over the water room in Rabat. The bed was on the loft upstairs. And the windows look out onto the central area, which includes the traditional layout of the Riyadh, and this one had, of course, the elevator. You can see off to the side, and nice bath area, but again, inexplicably no shower curtain. The beautiful tile work. And downstairs is where we just now had breakfast.
Driving along the coastal road on our route from Rabat to Casablanca.
After a bit of searching, we found a museum here in Casablanca. This building was originally constructed as a home for Jewish orphans, and later, in the early 60s, it became a yeshiva, and then the interior was changed over to become.
Now, seaside Casablanca, it's very lovely. We've passed neighborhoods of huge mansions, homes that were all walled in, looking out onto the lighthouse area. It's very busy, Corniche. Lots of restaurants and cafes and expensive shops, as one would expect. And, clearly what happens at Casablanca stays in Casablanca. Off in the distance, see the minaret from the Hassan II Mosque. Second largest mosque in the world. The minaret is 656 feet tall. Okay, we're a little closer. Get to see some of the detail at the top. And it's Friday, so the white flag is out and calling everyone to worship. And in the Baltimore Charlie Chaplin bedroom in Casablanca. And we've decided we're just going to stay here because it is elegant and comfortable. And they just can't seem to do enough for you here. This is the
bathroom. And we are just a few feet from the restaurant, which works out really well. And the mini bar is included. And it's just very yummy and comfortable in this room. Approaching the mosque. Some very impressive detail work.
The mosque of the Prophet. And this mosque is the Islamic words. The name of this mosque is Hassan II. And Hassan II is the father of our present king, Muhammad the 60th, exactly.
So this spot here, this information on this gives the direction towards Mecca.
Look over there.
And here is the pulpit from which the Imam would speak.
It's presented the prayer. And also we have speakers everywhere. What's these small pillars over there?
Beit Knesset, Beit El, and Casablanca. Beautiful windows. Perhaps a bit inspired by Chagall, each one of the tribes. For the Shalich Tzibor. Ladies. Going to have one of these signs made up. Shimon. Dan, Naphtali, Gad, Asher, Yosef Binyamin, and section. And it has there are no plates, just numbers. This is the view from the women's section. In the garden of the synagogue, we have the founders listed. Also where Kiddush takes place. And here are the yard site plaques. This was the fellow who helped us so much. Driving inland from Casablanca towards Marrakesh today, passing a number of these little villages or homesteads that dot the area. water source is primarily rainfall and some wells, and a lot of the vegetation is cactus. We see a number of goats and horses, and not too much else, but that might have to do more with the growing season. You see that the construction looks like it's dependent on adobe style bricks. We're in Marrakesh at our riad, and if we were concerned that they didn't know it was our anniversary, we shouldn't have been. This is the entrance to our sitting area here. Overlooks the trees and the pool area down below. This is entrance to our bedroom. A sitting area. Somebody got the memo. So, oh, a sitting area. Great. That's number 3. And then we have another terrace. In case the other sitting areas weren't enough, we have another rooftop sitting area. And then into the unmentionable. Rose petals. Of course, I don't know how we're going to use the shower. Like this. Or of course, one has to have rose petals everywhere. So we're going to try to be comfortable here for the next few days. The Marrakesh market. And, this is not far from our hotel. So evidently it's the lamp area. And more lamps. We're in an open market square. You can get everything from turtles to spices to hats, baskets, pounding and preparing seasonings and spices. Approaching the Grand Marketplace. It's about 6 o'clock in the evening, and all of the carriages are lined up, ready to take the tourists back to their buses or around town. Off in the distance is the minaret. Just to give you an idea of the sheer size. Was an unfinished mosque from the late 12th century, about 100 years after the founding of Marrakesh and this Berber dynasty. The orientation was found to be just a wee bit off, so they abandoned construction and continued the construction on the other side of this wall. You can see originally it was designed to have the orientation spot and the area where the imam would address the congregation, but it was, as I say, abandoned. So we're not looking at ruins, we're looking at a bit of construction that they just walked away from. Date from the original Casbah of the city. Now we're inside the Casbah. And we're going to head out to some tombs that originally had been hidden by the subsequent dynasty, walled in, not destroyed, but walled in for over 200 years. They're rediscovered.
And on the upper part of the wall is always taboo, and this must be done on the spot. It must be carved on the spot. On the lower part is mosaic. So three elements: wood, taboo, and mosaic, always in this order here. And of course it is close to us. This place is called the 12 column or the rose.
And the gardens around the tombs. Trumpet. Inside one of the private offices inside the palace of the Bahia. The rooms are have similar elements in that you'd have the mosaic floor, you'd have the stucco trim as the first tier, and then the ceiling would be the cedar wood, but it might be a different shape. It could be a flat roof ceiling, ribbed, domed. So each room has using the similar elements, but each done just in a unique. In the marketplace, this had been the Jewish quarter, so it's still known as the Market of the Jewish Quarter. Awesome. All the work. They have all around different quotes. That's it. So, in the Jewish quarter, in the synagogue. Metalwork is all the way around. And on the side, stock of boxes, so you don't have to go too far. The women's section. There's a lamp. Most of these lamps are done in memory of one of the rabbis, otherwise a prominent member. And this synagogue appears to still be in active use. A view from the women's section.
There's the bread is ready, and they simply throw it into the oven. That's the oven. And they use bread. They use normally.
They got, yeah, they're all tents. So, Rashid, thank you. And so could you explain what you're doing?
Yes, I make it like soap and water and
Okay. Thank you. And then you shape it.
yeah, and shape.
Thank you. These are the piles of wool. And that's what's
piece by piece, and he chooses the designs. He rolls them and shapes them this way.
In the outskirts of Marrakesh, you can see in the distance, not too far, the Atlas. It's snow on the peaks, and there are 2 ski resorts in the Atlas Mountains. A little bit of snow you can see right through the clouds. Take a nice spot to view the mountains in the valley below. And see the earth is very, very red here.
Stop by the side of the road.
Cobra Road. Cobra?
Yes.
Cobra, like the one you see square.
Come on.
We're at the Atlas at about 4,700 feet, and even here, some homes built right into the mountain.
Pretty chilly up here at this point.
There, over there, and music here. Over here, there is a lot of music.
Primarily built this Kasbah in the 18th century, renovated in the 19th century, and essentially abandoned in 1956 at the time of independence. Still see
It's a
the
good nest for stork, especially in summer.
Yeah.
There's a lot of storks in the area, even big ones.
store.
We saw in again in Rabat.
Yeah, well, yeah, see some of them there.
These pigeons have this blue hue to them.
And you can see the
One of the rooms in which the Sultan would receive people and offer judgments as necessary. Wood gate. Appreciation for the detail on these doors. This is silk covered near the ceiling. The ceiling is cedar, and all the work and the usual stucco and such. But these are silk hangings that are affixed to the wall. Typically, these would have been examples of gifts given over time to the Pasha. And then the ceramic walls and floor. This is from one of the reception rooms. This looks out onto the mountains and the town across the way, and also the livestock down below. From a receiving room, another receiving room. Got a beautiful view through this picture window of the village beyond.
Let's become now football.
See a town far off. As you can see the mosque.
Corn, yes. Corn and apples, because the area went on also has the agriculture with wheat and barley, and also with a lot of trees of walnut, and also apples.
Heating element in this big, beautiful, but very cool this Kasbah, where we are right now, the rooftop. You can look out onto some of the fields and the private quarters of the guards and such who work here. You can see they have their own cows and sheep and all. And beyond that side already is unsafe. The rooftops are in danger of collapsing.
And also of the family, people living in the village, also they come to take, you know, the, what's you call it, the poplar tree to use for the roof.
For their own roofs, yeah.
To use. Yes.
Yes.
What are you doing there?
Yeah. Shepherd tending his flock of sheep and goats along the mountain. There's some of them bleeding. Minaret in a small village, still inhabited, still tending the fields down below. And it's a beautiful canyon area, gorge. You can see the sheer cliffs. Okay, we're on our way to the Kasbah, passing a number of olive trees. The fruit is some some almonds. Also on the way to our Kasbah.
The bridge, before it's the Nile Bridge, you have to cross from the river there, alright? Or in winter or in summer also when there is a lot of water, so we cross by donkey, right? But this government built this only. The Berber family started with 8, and Arabic it started with son of. Ben. Yes, Ben. This is Arabic. 8 it's family. Yeah.
Ben is son.
Yes. The juniper and also the bamboo. Well, the bamboo is used for decoration also inside.
Oh yes.
Divide, yes. You see it? Divide the rooms. Also it's used for the roof.
Looking down a little bit on the Kasbah, it's one of the original homes. And these couple are still inhabited. The work on the outside has been renovated in an authentic manner. And most of the rest of the quarter, where we see collapsed roofs and the like, they are not inhabited. Some may have little storefronts, but families do not live there. This wall, just above the plateau I was standing on, is original and part of the 16th century original construction of the Kasbah. The guardhouse, perfect vantage point to see down each direction, across the river, down into the Kasbah. Across the way, who's coming from other areas. He's seen from the top at the gatehouse for the guards. You can see snow on the atlas. original gates to this kasbah. The gardens that were originally developed by an artist by the name of Majorel. He's a French artist. And after his death, they were taken over by the municipality, and then not too long afterwards by Yves Saint Laurent. So it has a number of different species that are not native to Morocco. And we're going to take a look through, and also through the Museum of Berber Culture. Just to give some idea of the variety here. Tiny pomegranate tree alongside cactus. Some idea of the remarkable variety of cacti here. About to go into the Madrasa bin Yusuf here in the Medina. Inside the madrasa, this is the ablution area, and up here would be the dorm rooms, and go through the entrance into the small mosque that would be part of the, again, the madrasa, but used only as a mosque. This madrasa bin Yusuf was built in the 16th century and used actively as a school, as a madrasa, up till 1959. So on the first floor dorm area, again, all the rooms will be arranged around an open, tiny courtyard, and be typically 2 students. There's a little window there. 2 students. 1 student just coming out now. Okay, and they'd have room to cook in the courtyard, and through the door there would be a way for one of the teachers or leaders to check if the student was up for early prayers, and if so, then the bread would be delivered, and if not, then that person did without bread the day and would remember to get up early the following morning. These were the upstairs rooms. Again, a window out onto the courtyard. And these would be used as steps up to extra storage area above the ceiling.
Probably we find out that his father can't afford to see him. So he sent him to somebody, society, but somebody was well off. Could be a musician, so he asked him to.
Some of the leather drying outside the mosque. We're across from the original heart of Marrakesh. Part of a city is always defined by a mosque, a madrasa, a hammam, a bakery. Okay, this is the high auction area where everybody gets to bring their hides for review, and then they can sell them for further use. Going through the fresh fruit and vegetable market now.
So these are what's
All olives.
right. But for us, it has to not only be slaughtered, then it has to be soaked.
In the middle of the main square in Marrakesh now, we see some women doing henna. A fella who has his monkey ready to entertain. Activity of all sorts. Different booths selling food, juice. Snakes are taking an afternoon nap. Looking down onto our suite from the terrace here at the Riyadh, which is really rooftop terrace, just beautiful. And today is probably the warmest, brightest day we've had in Marrakesh.